Everyone and their mother right now is making jokes about the new Mac Pro. Yes, it's a $6,000 cheese grater. Yes, the monitor is another $5,000. Yes, the stand to hold up the monitor costs another $1,000. And yes, those figures are for the base model. The souped-up version is more like $16,000. It's not that the new Mac Pro is unimpressive. The actual hardware inside is not top tier, but it's pretty close. And the monitor having 6K capabilities is pretty phenomenal. But a PC with these stats would cost half the price. And it's no surprise to anyone that after Apple got thwomped by Microsoft in the 1990s, and they attached some chrome plating to attract the hipsters over, that when you buy Apple, you're largely buying a brand. That's why when I needed to use Mac-only software, I ran a Hackintosh for 2 years. A Hackintosh, for those of you unaware, is when you use PC hardware and run Mac OS on it. It takes some tinkering to get working, but it's a lot cheaper than buying an actual Mac. I actually recorded an old vlog about the creation of my Hackintosh back when I did it that I was too lazy to put up. Is there any actual real interest in seeing it with you guys? Should I actually put it up? Anyway, my point is, when you're building a PC, you have near infinite levels of customizability. But Macs are, as a regular viewer once described them in my stream chat as, luxury Luddite appliances. That's pretty good, dude, thanks. There's not much in the way of tinkering around inside of Apple products. At least not very easily. And that's by Apple's design, so that you have to go through their expensive repair services. That's why the right to repair legal battle often centers around things like iPhones and whatever. Apple would prefer that you think of everything they sell as a magic box, with unknowable arcane contents, something that you can't simply tinker with yourself to repair, but must be handed off to their experts, or better yet, simply replaced for something new. This is the same reason why the Geek Squad still maintains a tiny niche market among the boomers, where they'll charge you hundreds of bucks to reset a Windows password and other bullshit like that. A boomer probably knows how to do maintenance on his own car, or at the very least understands that you can pop the hood and take a look at the inner workings. But a computer? It might as well be an ancient black obelisk that only the Best Buy shamans can commune with. And the car analogy really does describe the stunt that Apple's trying to pull. With a car, everything on the inside is relatively accessible, and there's a thriving culture around do-it-yourself vehicle mods and repairs. With computers, not so much, and Apple capitalizes on that ignorance. An Apple car would quite literally have no way to repair it, and an Apple mechanic would simply tell you to shell out for a new one like you're an easy mark. And the coastal elites, the hipsters and the journos and the social justice apples, they all fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. For being members of the working class, they sure can't afford to buy wildly overpriced garbage. And Apple, for being such a socially left company that they proudly declare hate has no place on our platforms, they've got no problem with exploiting brown third-worlders in their sweatshops making Apple products in order to mark them up about 10,000% and then sell them to rich kid communists who see absolutely no problem with what they're doing. It's all just a gigantic circle jerk. SJWs talk about how progressive and morally superior they are, as they support business models they claim to oppose. Companies virtue signal in the press and fake progressivism to try and sell more of their product, all the while never truly bringing their business practices into line with their stated goals. Nobody cares when Apple talks about hate speech or Google slaps a pride flag on their search engine, because we all know it's a smokescreen. It's a lie. It's a calculated tactic to get social justice idiots to give them more money. And it works because of Apple's design philosophy, and the sneaky sleight of hand they use along with it. When you look at an Apple product, especially some of their earlier stuff, you can see why the transition from educational tool to hipster paradise worked. The iPod, the iPhone, and iMac all have a sleek feel to them. There's a simplicity to the buttons and the on-screen interfaces. You know exactly what everything does just by looking at it. This allows Apple products to be accessible. Cross-language, cross-culture, even with the technologically illiterate. But the process of simplification has also been smoothing nuance out of the conversation at Apple for a long time now. There's no room to modify an Apple device because who knows how it works. You can't repair it if it breaks. It's so simple, either it works or it doesn't, and that's that. And if you try, well, expect the entire weight of Apple to come down on you, because they don't want anybody breaking the illusion that their products aren't simply enchanted talismans, but have knowable constituent parts, which is hilarious, by the way, considering that the new Mac Pro does actually include industry-standard PCIe ports alongside their own proprietary GPU option. Now, if you could simply open the computer up, put in a GeForce or a Radeon graphics card into one of those PCIes, then you'd be fine. But the minute you open an Apple machine, you void the warranty. So instead, you get stuck with Apple's aging proprietary GPU models that will likely never get updated, or you can pay out the ass to have a certified Apple tech install an industry-standard graphics card at triple the PC price because you're a sucker. And all of those suckers that lap this nonsense up are precisely the types of people who are fine with dumbing down everything else in their lives. The over-reliance on simplistic IKEA constructions for furniture, for example, or buying everything they can off Amazon because Amazon Prime is just so convenient. overconsumption of fast food or other unhealthy options, while claiming that their poor health is due to genetic factors. The failure to understand any type of living that isn't centered on California or New York. The tendency to reduce politics to an it's us or them zero-sum game, where you're either a progressive SJW or you're a fascist. There's no middle ground. I'm not saying there's no room for convenience in life, there obviously is. But the people that Apple products appeal to are the people who consistently take the easiest and shallowest routes throughout their life, and then blame the state of the world and of themselves on everything else around them, failing to fully realize both the poor consequences of their poor choices, and that most of their problems would be solved by not taking the path of least resistance every single time. In other words, unlike all of the other elements of Apple's design philosophy, freedom can't be simplified away. It's too complex. Social justice is what you get when you try. Unlike most other companies right now, I'd argue that Chick-fil-A is actually following their personal morality at this point, and operating beyond profit. I don't agree at all with Chick-fil-A's stance on gay people, but they're not motivated solely by profit because they've stuck to it even when it's become socially unpopular to do so. All of these other companies only took up the rainbow flag after it became the safe option to do so. A business is only truly interested in a social cause if it's willing to lose customers to stand up for it. Otherwise, it's just plain old greed wearing the SJW hat.